see that we have everything up and running. And now we will go ahead and make sure that I have my YouTube channel up. Okay, perfect. So I am here to be able to interact with both. I do have my chat open in over here on YouTube, so I'm following you there. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Samuel Lombardo, and I am the CEO, Executive Director, and Agent for SL Models and Talent Agency, as well as CEO and Executive Director for Suave Dance Studios, LLC, Lions Publishing Productions, LLC, SL Photography, SL Casting Agencies, and Artist Gala, and our V Smart, which is a vocational school of models and artists. Now, we stuck with the update again, which I was told I wasn't going to have that issue. So our website, I'm going to be pressuring them. I sent an email tonight, so maybe I'll get some feedback tonight, but it is www.slmta-agency.com. And I noticed that there's again another update when people are trying to get on there and are not able to get on there. And sometimes I don't know about these things until it actually happens. Like it's someone telling me, and then I go on there and I'm like, oh, well, why can I not log on to my own website? So there's that. Okay, and I do have a lot to bring to your attention today, so it's going to be a little bit crazy. I went through a huge week because we had several clients and bookings that have taken place, which I'll explain a few of them to you here in a minute. But first, if you don't mind, let's keep up our subscriptions here on SL Models and Talent Agency LLC's YouTube channel. It's the gold icon with logo with the round red ring around it. You can find us there and subscribe. If you like the content that we'll be sharing, then please follow us there as well. We have a lot of things that are going to be coming up, but first I want to tell you a little bit of the good news. So this past week, I have been hinting on several auditions, both for models and actors, and we have been extremely busy between that and other work schedules and everything, keeping everything busy here with SL Models and Talent Agency. We are going to be looking for experienced agents who are able to, you can work from home. We'll explain more about that a little bit, but we are looking for experienced agents who would be interested in working with SL Models and Talent Agency. We would need to see a resume and also a cover letter. Send that to me at S as in Sierra, L as in Lima, M as in Mario, T as in Tango, agency@gmail.com, because we're going to be needing that very soon. The commission rate is 10% on union contracts, non-union, or at 15% that agents make on the bookings from the models and talent. So just FYI on that as well. Okay. Again, you want to send that resume and your cover letter, and to make it attention to Dr. Samuel Lombardo at slmtagency@gmail.com. Okay. Along with that, we will be also starting a thing called the Glamour Chart, because we are starting to get bookings for makeup artists as well, where some clients are needing help with makeup artists during set and whatnot. So we are developing an actual glamour chart where we will be able to book them. So if that is you, if you are on our roster already, hint, hint, you may want to email us a copy of your license for your hair and makeup schooling. So that way then you will have priority gives on the upcoming jobs that are necessary for this particular position. We had some very good successful audition. It's Malik Banks. Has has really been killing it. I will be honest. He was out there making it great, and I have to tell you that he did pass phase 1 of the audition. We are waiting for the phase 2 report, but Birds View Entertainment really enjoyed the auditions that were coming from SL Models and Talent Agency, and they also had a very great, successful time at auditions, live face-to-face from what I can tell. So it was awesome, and we are working with them in order to continue to make this grow, and that we could potentially grow with them in the near future. And there are other clients that are just the same way as well. We are going to be doing a actors mentor boot camp. I will tell you a little bit about it. It doesn't cost that much. This is for anyone that is interested. You do not have to be on the roster of SL Models and Talent Agency. This is something where if you are a dreamer or wanting to become a potential dreamer of SL Models and Talent Agency, that you can develop your mentorship skills with some of our very big, profitable, and high regulated actors, as well as team members of the acting entertainment sector for the entertainment industry. Anyway, I am all over the place today. I don't know what it is. It's just a lot going on, and I'm trying to compile it all into our interactive show tonight. So if you have any questions about anything as I'm speaking here tonight, do not be bashful. Please ask away. I'm here. I'm live on YouTube as well. There is one thing that I do want to mention to you, though, very, very fast. So there was an incident on, was it Wednesday-ish, I want to say? Yeah, Wednesday-ish or Tuesday, where I was testing out the new sound system, which we are doing. By the way, am I even talking into this? Hold on 1 second. I'm about to echo. No, very, very fast. So there was an incident. Okay. All right. So I am talking so people know what I'm talking about, because there was a point in time where I started on Zoom, and I downloaded this new app, and it was stuck on the trial, and there's a lot that was going on then. First of all, I had permission. I was using a an online YouTube video, and then there was music that I gotten from the soundtracks of Epidemic Sound. And because the two were playing simultaneously, and then on top of that, now I thought that I've actually purchased a full license for the virtual audio software, but apparently not. So it kept saying trial, trial, trial in the background. And folks, I feel bad that you had to hear all of that as I'm like downloading all the new software. Well, apparently it doesn't matter if you did hear it or not, because Facebook put that video down. Now, there was a little bit of confusion with that, and so I want to make this very, very loud and clear, okay? Any music that we do have as of now that we will be playing, whether it's background, if it's in the forefront, if it's happening, coming out of my ears or whatever, it will be from Epidemic Sound. Now, it is no different than using the exchange sound or sound exchanges, excuse me, where it really costs $300 a year to do the same thing that I'm doing with Epidemic Sound. And in fact, I made sure that I was double cured for my licenses, but Epidemic Sound has their own catalog. And so I only play what they have available in their catalog. Well, apparently UMG, Sony, and Warner or whatever, all were having a pick out of 43 seconds, which happens to be a song that I played on Epidemic Sound, okay, that I have a license for, that happened to be the 43 seconds that I was actually playing that particular song. And I actually know what it was. Colors. That's the name of the song from Tori Wolf. And so what happened was, I guess Tori Wolf also has them in the catalog as well, or something to that sort. In any case, I think the confusion was because I had the live video going all at the same time while this new software that I was downloading for the sound system was saying like trial, trial, trial. That's what I'm assuming is what had happened. And with the two of those, like where I only had a trial and then this video, and all of a sudden there's this music playing. They're all from 3 different sources, but Facebook wouldn't have known that. So that's why I think that video gotten flagged. So I got to figure out how I can be able to, again, this is a this is a Facebook issue. So I really don't know how to handle that. And a lot of times when we do play music or we're doing things that are bigger than what I'm doing right now, I will not be on Facebook. That's why I told you guys that you need to subscribe to YouTube or to our speaker channel, SLMTA, the speaker. That's audio only. That's our podcast station. We're going to be setting up a podcast station, more name brand here in a couple of weeks. So then we have our YouTube station for audio and visual. Okay, that's coming from Zoom. And we have our Vimeo. We have our backgrounds with OBS. We also have our background, sophisticated backgrounds with livestream.com. So we have all the things that we need. It's just that there are certain things that we do that we are allowed to do, and we also make sure that everything is credited anyway, just in case. So this is not a situation that Facebook has. Now, I have a suggestion. I don't know if anybody is going to actually spot this video or not. But I do have a suggestion, and now you could take it or you could run with it, or maybe you can message me to let me know if you already have something in place. But I would suggest that Facebook actually have a license, because there are a lot of people that are going to be doing a lot of different things. You got everybody's got permission to make their ads and they're using the music. And I'm noticing that there's a lot of just a bunch of silence over things that are not necessarily needed to be silenced on. Now there's also a couple of them that are leaked out, meaning that I could tell that if they've even, because I do that research. I know a whole lot about how to research things when it comes to copyright and whatnot. And there are some ads out there that are playing music, but do not have the licenses to put that on the music, but they get away with doing it. Okay. I think that it's just necessarily that they just have a setup like YouTube where they already have all of this, so that none of this issue with music or whatever is a problem. It might be a little more costly to you in the long run, but you also don't want to get caught up with some of them that are actually sneaking around the system and actually really putting it in their ads and stuff. I mean, I'm being told, right, when they flag me, that there are certain things that I cannot do. And when I explore different pages, I can see where that's not the case and that it happens. So now the question is, how are they getting away with it? And then I'm not getting away with it. And yet it's just a matter, so that's why I'm saying this out loud and very clearly. It's just a matter of checking what epidemic sound, okay, to find out that I actually have the licenses to play that. Because you really, you're silence someone over the fact that it may be. And that's just as bad as silence someone that it was. So the real deal would probably be to, instead of silence them, maybe well, maybe that's what they mean, I don't know, but maybe what they should do is cut down the video, okay, until they can find out for sure if what is said. Like right now, I actually have it right now. Let me make sure. Okay, for some reason, this isn't showing on here, but let me just give you an example. It'll say show more on the sites, and you will see like little like hashtags and different things like that. And then it will say sync licenses, Monster Cat, live streaming music, Epidemic Sound, public performance license, sound exchange. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. SL Models and Talent Agency is even that much more sophisticated. We are actually going to be making agreements, like we are going to be doing periodical concerts to help our educational department of our Dreamers division. And we already have 5 artists that had agreed. I'm talking about actual 5 artists that had agreed what we're doing. Now, there's a few that I have spoken to today, so it was just brought to their attention today, but there are a few of them that have already said yes. What I'm basically doing, and I'm just going to say this very short and sweet, we are going to be paying royalties of 30% for every ticket sold. And then some of them were actually making an agreement to sell merch online. with them, and that they would actually keep 80% of their profits to them. We would just do 20% just to kind of for the holding ground, really, to help with that situation. But yeah, so the agency will we would actually be able to work with different artists, particularly independent artists. Okay. We are looking at maybe speaking with a few that are with record label. So the issue with record labels, which is why independent artists like what they do, is because record labels can get a bit strong. It's like, first of all, I'm a spot on person, so I'm planning things out way in advance. And if I'm sending an email and just because somebody may not like whatever deal I have, if they don't tell me about it, I have to move on. And that was a situation with a professional that was in when I sent an email even to Warner, where, you know, and this is why there's all these issues about having licenses and stuff, which is why I went to places like Epidemic, Sound Exchange, Munster Cat, and all that. Because if you don't get a response, you're not going to get anywhere. And unfortunately, I cannot stop business because because the big dogs are going to try to control it. That's where the monopoly comes in. And we're going to actually talk about monopolizing in the entertainment industry because it's actually something that is becoming very true or has at one point. That may not be the case for very long because I'm actually writing a proposal to the government as I speak about what SLMTA's union, American National Guild of Performing Arts, is doing, and and the part of the proposal is going to explain about the rights of certain things and why some models feel that they're being neglected, other ones are being harassed or gouged on, or whatever the case may be. So that's going to start the process of the government being able to help out in actually making this into something real. I just got to wait for the results. But right now, that what we're doing is we're drafting up the proposal and then we'll send it in and see what kind of reaction we get from it. Now, I will tell you, it's just, it just blows my mind how much you may actually think that there is not a monopoly, but yet monopoly does happen. And that is really where independent artistry was derived from the fear of the monopolization that happened, what I call the big dogs, okay? Which are those, so there's a point where you have control, and then there's another point where it's like, because I have the control, it's going to be like this, 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 and this. And if it doesn't work like that, then we're going to have to rip you from this. Well, we cannot do that. That's not the type of business. And we want to make sure that every artist is actually being equalized in this industry, like that they're actually being paid for what they do. It's one thing, now think about this, okay, because I had conversations with artists where they would be advanced several $100,000, and some of them would actually have to sit there and work for 10 years before they even figure out the end of that game where they actually finally paid off the advance, but then could actually be paid like the figures that folks are claiming it to be. Now, the funny thing is when you do the actual research, it says that so-and-so has worked this and so-and-so has worked that. But when you go down deep and really figure it out, that's coming from the big dogs in the licensing centers and all of that, the labels. And then when you actually speak with the person, right, you start to realize that the reality is that it's what the company makes versus what the person makes. And so the real question is, what is missing from those contracts that's making it unfair for some of these artists that are out there? Or is it unfair? I mean, I've done a poll, and a lot of the independent artists, they claim that they don't want to be stuck with someone owning them, and then they end up losing their work. And then if something went wrong, they own them to the point that they cannot even do their own work that they love doing. Now, is that something that is actually appropriate to do? I mean, nobody brought it up, and I'm probably the first one to actually nip it in the butt as far as complaining about it. Because it is real. It's real. Okay. If you're not following the details of that contract, talking about musicians here at this point, then yeah, it's almost like they own you. And that's why a lot of the record labels are frowned upon when it comes to a lot of these folks. But you have successful independent artists. And boy, are they sitting there trying the hardest to get some of these independent artists to be able to sign, even if they could stick in like and listen to this term very closely. It's called a sticky clause. It's worse than the actual fine print, because what it does, it sounds like something, but it does something else. That is what you need to be very, very careful of. Because in reality, to be honest, the fairness of performing arts as a whole is not to own the person, okay, but to be able to allow that person to be creative, that you own the masters. But because they think they own the masters, they also put in their contract that they own you. And what's even worse is that they deem it necessary when they are advancing you, because they want to make sure that they're getting that back. So they look at it as, oh, your first album was worth like blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're making blah, blah, blah. I'm going to advance you blah, blah, blah. And then now you're actually stuck. So for the next, 5 years or whatever, you'd have to do this many albums and distribute this many songs. But then if it doesn't reach that advanced amount yet, they still will tell you, you will still have to do something, or you end up, it's almost like you end up losing it all. There's clauses in it. It's called the sticky clauses. That's what it is termed in a legalese language, is called something else. But in English, it's called the sticky clause. It's where they're telling you that they're focusing on masters, but the reality is that you still own up to your debt. Now, the way I look at it is, it would be like any other debtor. You don't do anything and you can't work with them. That doesn't mean that they can't still do their work. You see what I'm getting at? And it gets a little bit, and here's the other problem. Because of the master rights. Now, here's another thing that actually I was contemplating on. I'm not saying I'm reinventing anything, but this might actually sound like a reinvention. I'm trying to make this sound as very easy as possible, but it's probably going to be difficult. Okay. So let's say that you done paid your advance, right? You've done everything. They basically have you where you're just earning royalties from everything. Now, mind you, they're taking money from that too, even to the very end. As long as they have the rights to it and it continues to flow that way, they're going to have those rights. Well, I'm here to tell you that does an artist actually have a right to say whether or not that's where they still want to be, despite the fact that there is that particular agreement? See, I was thinking about this when I started realizing about my talent contracts. Okay, see, I have a modeling contract, which is very strict and straightforward. Then I have a talent contract. And then, of course, if there is anyone that is looking to record and want to do things, we have the Agencies 360 deal that is linked to our publishing and productions company that we basically had registered and licensed through. Now, with that being said, we don't have a clause in anywhere about what happens after the advance is done, if there was to be an advance or an advance of anything that they were paying or whatever, that they have to continue to be exclusive. 360 deals are usually set up in a way where it is termed. So if you ever hear the word 360, it usually is something that you have to read very carefully because it is set up in terms. In other words, it's more exclusive to that company and then to you. But you could still have it in a sense where couldn't the artists think about it, like the models that are with Bohemia and Elite and Next and all that, right? They're not sitting there saying, no, you can't sign with that one, you can't sign with that one, or this and that. No, you got probably 40 models signing with 35 other agencies. And whoever gets them the booking, they get the booking, or maybe the agency is partnering with the other agencies and so on and so forth, right? So it makes it a little bit more of a better deal as far as the agency to agency relationship goes. Well, that's all good. It helps with the models, right? So let's talk about that for a minute. So with the model, that's very simply put. But as soon as you start saying something about, oh, well, you know, you are exclusive to us for 3 years, and now you cannot sign with anyone else. Then the question is, what makes you the dictator of them being able to not sign with any other agency? Because there has to be some piece in there about you saying that you basically own them, because that's basically what that means. So I hate to say it, in English, when they say you're exclusive to them, it basically means that they own you there. Okay, that's what it means in English. Legally speaking, you're exclusive to that one company, and that you have to do the rules of that particular organization. Now, if you're a training agency, you're exclusive to training, but not booking. So if you signed up, say, for a 2-year contract on training, but the model is like, well, but I see that I can get a very good booking with, SLMTA. I would like to sign with them, and your agency says, no, you cannot sign with them. Guess what? First of all, besides it actually being illegal, because you're not really booking them, you're training them. So you'd have to know what your priority list is going to be. Now, if you have it in your contract, here's a sticky clause. If you have in your contract where the agency is basically saying that you cannot go to any other agency until your training is done and that we know it's fulfilled, then that's something that they're going to have to bring to your attention. But if it doesn't have that in there, then unfortunately, there's nothing that you can really do to argue the fact that, in fact, if there is no sticky clause in there, then that model has a right to go where he or she wants to go. Now, most of the big agencies out there, they pretty much know who to partner with, and they all usually work together. If they are going to attend conventions, they're attending because it's like following the leader. Like one will go, the other one will go, and then the next one will go. That kind of scenario begins to happen. It's like the chain of command, so to speak. That's usually how those scenarios work, because if one is actually getting that model and there's like 40 other agencies that really like that particular model, you're going to be seeing that. Now, here's where it gets tricky for SLMTA, because I think some agencies just, and when I say agencies, I'm talking about local agencies here. So I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes right now, but I do want to mention this because I'm the type of person where if I see wrong somewhere, I'm going to bring it out. All right. One of the things that I have heard from a couple, not all, because we actually have partnerships with other agencies. In fact, we're developing partnerships with the major national and international agencies as well. But some of the locals actually do not know, I hate to say it, but especially the new ones that claim that they've been around forever, they're very cunning in the way that they speak to make it seem as if they've been there forever and that they know, and they're gonna nag at you until you are actually like, okay, yeah, you're right. All right. But I usually just kind of snarkle at it now, and I just pretty much say, well, it's possible, or I may not say anything at all. Or I might turn around and say, if I hear enough of it and there's enough of the dimming light, I may actually come out and say something that I should have not said. But long story short, there are local agencies out there that would literally say, my models will not sign to your agency. And what I have noticed is that you could partner with certain individuals, and then when they're linked with particular locals, that's when you start hearing some of that, what I want to call rivalry talk, but it doesn't sound like rivalry. And the reason that it doesn't sound like rivalry is because these other people don't know who SLMTA is. They just assuming that they know because of it comes out from other mouths or whatever the case may be. But long story short, there are some local out there that will say that they don't want their model signing with us. But yet at the same time, we are no different than if they go to big agency at convention, and then they have to sign through them in order to get their bookings. And if they're not, then apparently there's something wrong between the convention and the person setting up these bookings, because no agency does the work for another agency. The legalities is that the model must sign with that agency to know that they are part of their roster. They have to sign the photo releases of that agency. Like if I'm joining a convention, right, and I'm asking someone to put a photo up or whatever, just because I asked them and they say it's okay, that they don't know that it's going to a particular website or to a particular agency, or excuse me, or a particular convention. The convention typically has their own photo releases, right? So then they sign that photo release. Now it gives me permission, not only that I know that I could showcase their photos, but that the convention can also now showcase their photos. Now, I have been doing a lot of crazy, stupid little things here lately to kind of figure out what in the world is going on. So I'm going to be very upfront and honest with this one. When I'm being told, okay, so I'm a national agency and I'm also now world renowned with about 14 separate countries at this point in time via Extravaganza, who is our top international supermodel, world-renowned model, that is. And so I was able to gain a lot of connections through him, as well as then other agencies that started hearing about being national in the United States. So we are actually in a hot spot, but there's a particular situation with one particular company that I still don't understand yet. Maybe someday they'll actually realize how SLMTA is working. But anyway, make a long story short, all of our contracts that we basically have with other local agencies are usually agency to agency contracts, meaning that the first thing that has to happen is that they know that their models signed with SL Models and Talent Agency for their work, for the purpose of them being booked. Now, anything else, they'd have to come up with like the confidentiality agreement. They'd have to come up with the fact that this is the requirement that the model must pay for, whatever. But see, if they don't have that in there, if they don't have in their contract that the model is responsible for 10, 15%, for whatever length of that contract is, to be paid to the agent regardless of booking and who does the booking, then unfortunately, you may not even see that because it's not under a legal document to be able to proceed with that. Now, a lot of agencies will try to intimidate models. And how do I know that? Ashraf Tausi told me about this literally in his first few months, and basically thought and there was another person that I'm not going to mention the name of, but they thought that they had to actually fight out of that contract. They didn't have to fight out of none, because when my legal team looked at it, they said this is not even a real contract. Now, the one that I'm talking about that is American, he brought it to my attention. And then I was like, look, I can almost guarantee you if I called up this agency and started talking, they would probably forego your contract breach anyway, trying to say, you see this down here, it says confidentiality, and look exactly what it says. In other words, they would try to use legalities to try to intimidate someone from saying that they would not be able to fight out of something that actually was nothing. It literally was nothing. All they really needed was a one-page document saying, look, you're entitled to bookings as you can with your schedule, but your training with us is going to be first priority or something like that. You know what I mean? But it was a training facility. There wasn't even there wasn't even any agents there, but they made this thing look like they were booking and everything else. And I say, that's weird, because they say it even says, if you have something that says college on there, the first thing I'd be looking at is, okay, you're in school. I don't care if it says school, vocational school of, if it says the college of, if it's the university of this, or if you have the model school of that. The point is that's what you're signing up for. And these places take it, twist it, and tell you, now we're going to grab you by the arm. We're going to put a leash on you now. We're going to make sure that this stays hold. And then and they actually end up forcing these individuals into something that actually has nothing to do with what they originally signed. And that's why a lot of people are upset about agencies that are robbing people and not getting them booked. Where does that term come from? Funny agencies that act very funny. Let's put it that way. And yes, it is a funny agency, because the problem is, and I'm not going to go through all those details now. You don't sit there and run a school and then say that you're an agency, and they are two total different companies. That's why you'll notice that the V Smart, we have our Dreamers division. The Dreamers division is for new faces. Now, can they get out of that and become a booking artist and or model? Yes. Could they get booking? Sure. At that point, they would be freelancing into the market. Okay. So you still have the same details of how the market goes. Like you could have your trendsetter 35 plus, okay, and then you would have like your petite and the curvy and all that. Like, yeah, you got that piece of it down pat. The part that I'm basically describing is the fact that while someone is in school, it is considered a school. So that's why V Smart, or the Dreamers division, has become for that purpose only. Showcasing, convention, training, photo shoots, all of that. And then they actually graduate out of that and then go into booking. But that doesn't mean that they have to be staying with us and that they still can trust us. The reason that, like, for example, I'm going to bring this up right now. The reason that Malik could possibly land a booking, it's not because of the best that he has done. We have been training him up to the point where he needed to be. He knew that he didn't know everything. And so by him being able to learn, he was able to take those steps to get where he is today. Now he's actually like, he's way ahead of the game, if you really want to think about it. And depending on how Bird's view goes, whether he becomes unionized at some point, then he's going to be way ahead of the game. But if you're dealing with a company that actually does not know the legalities, I don't care if you know the trends, to be very honest, that's your selling point. You're trying to do a sales pitch. The reality is that you don't really get anywhere with anything without having the right things in place in the right order, and that you're not putting all the eggs in one basket. They need to be separated out. And I have been stressing this conversation for I don't know how long. Now, of course, to some of them, because they think that that way been working, it's going to come to a time where God is going to say, okay, look, I've been giving you every single hint. I've given you the loudest loudspeaker out there. You still haven't figured it out. I'm going to have to actually put a stop to it. And that's what's going to end up happening, especially if you are a true believer and you know that. So either let's focus the right way, or we're going to end up going in all different types of directions. It's a big thing. We want to make sure that we are doing it absolutely correct in this industry. It's a very sticky industry too. What I mean by that is there's so many things happening. So when, you know, I'm not afraid to tell you the good and the bad, okay? The good part of it is that we should be allowed to create in the way that we want to create. I'm giving you the psychological points of it because a lot of people are using the creative innovation as a sales pitch. But in reality, creative innovation is not a sales pitch. The sales pitch comes when you actually have done the creation, meaning that you went through the education, you know the education. When you actually go and you're making your album, now you got something to pitch for a sale. You got it? You got something to pitch for a sale. But if you're going to sit there and shoot a face in the camera and have a line of individuals standing there and throwing up pictures everywhere and saying, yes, they're pros, and saying, this is my sales pitch, well then, what's going to happen at some point? Okay? So that's where we are at. Now, SLMTA does not make everything actually known, because with us already being known and people contacting us on a daily basis, we get emails every time. So I don't have to sit online and actually advertise even vSmart. We're past that already. People know that it's actually happening. It's just a matter of whether or not they actually going to pass the audition to get into the schooling that they need to go ahead and do that. Because yes, you still have to audition to get into the school. And you got about a year to do it. We accept kids and all of that. We're going to talk about that in a minute, because this year we're going to be, we got very, very specific schedules of how things are going to go. Okay. The main thing that I want the parents to understand is that SLMTA is extremely dedicated to both the parents and the kids. When it comes to the education, the reason that we set up the education to where it's focused in for a full year and why it might be a steep price up front could be, that's why we're trying to do our concerts, okay? So that we can be able to build some revenue, some scholarship money to be able to help that process. But it's going to be a little bit steep. I'm not going to put the number out online because I don't need everybody's sitting there wondering what the situation is and all that. SLMTA at this point has extremely high sophisticated regulation when it comes to our educational programs. So the number one thing is that we believe highly in the creative innovation. That is the truth. We believe in that. We believe that a 4-year-old is just as good in where they are than a 10-year-old up to 100 years old if you still got it. Okay? So you do not have to worry about that. You don't even have to worry about the fact that because they sign into school that they have to be binded to SLMTA, because that's not true either. In fact, they are not binded by SLMTA, and until they are done their graduation process, they must get their bookings through a freelance level. We are only guaranteeing 2 things. This is where integrity comes in. Again, SLMTA is extremely high quality with integrity, okay? And integrity basically means this when I'm saying it. We believe in the fact that we can only provide in the now what they are qualified for, and that is exposure, networking, and education. That's what they need right now if they want to actually learn. The other thing that we know is that everybody's time is very important. Now, this might be a little bit controversy when it comes to the booking stages, because when it comes to booking, you have to understand to be on time. But when it comes to our educational program, we allow all of our highly proclaimed instructors and mentors to be able to develop their own syllabus for the year, their training. And it doesn't even have to be a year. What it is broken down in 6 months, to be honest. So you got 6 months of audition readiness, and then you have your showcases that revolve around that. All right. Some showcases you would actually have to pay for. The SLMTA would actually pay a portion of it. Like, for example, if we join with Premier Models, for example, that's a showcase for modeling. And when it comes to runway and that, and going to LA and actually doing some big work. Well, that situation is a whole separate program in itself, whereas we do have conventions, okay, where it would be included in the package, where they would be able to be exposed to higher top-notch agencies as well as casting directors and what have you. Now, SLMTA is actually at another breaking point about what will be changing for the year 2022. Because right now we're trying to figure out, we want to make sure that there's not going to be any dictatorship, and there's not going to be any kind of conflicts of interest of any sort or anything revolving around certain areas where we are at. I believe that any of them that could be developed would probably be coming from individuals that are afraid of their own rivalry. Maybe they feel that this is one. I don't know. But SLMTA is already, like, we are sparking the plugs that things are lighting up faster than I expected them to light up. And we want to be able to have the Dreamers division be focused on exposure, networking. So that education lasts for a year. So it would be purposely from July till June. starting this July until June of next year. Why? Because the hope is, the hope is that COVID will finally be out of the way and there will actually be a live convention, but that you guys will already be in line for your graduation before you're even done in June. So that basically means that depending on how you are doing at the convention in New York with MAAI, you will basically 2 weeks after that, we will be having your graduation ceremony, not there, but at our location of choice. We will actually be doing a live streaming of your graduation. You will actually be the first graduating class, put it that way, of the V Smart. And then in August, you actually have the choice. Now, by then, in between there, you might have had some bookings. Like, for example, Malik may actually have a booking. He may have like a good booking. I'm not even going to lie when I say that. Depending on the scenario with his audition, she was already excited, already had a rolling mind, things were happening. We will be advertising this client to an extent that it would only be focused on production, maybe some training and things like that. We are not going to be because I don't want to be having the different scenarios that are happening, because we know what is happening out there outside of SLMTA, and we also know the eyes and the ears that are watching and hearing. But the idea is that we do want to make sure that we are presenting appropriately and fairly. Tammy is a very hard-working woman in the presence of her innovation with Bird's View Entertainment, and therefore I give her kudos as well. And that soon we will be having a very, very great professional relationship, in the sense that Bird's View Entertainment, SLMTA, will be working together. Of course, there was a production audition that was going on with SLMTA all week, and then we ended up with Malik Banks, the forefront of everything. But make a long story short, folks, this is an exciting time for SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, because believe it or not, if you're talking about a dreamer, that's what Malik Banks is. He's a dreamer. He was in the Dreamers division, and he was the first one where he signed up. I'm actually gonna subtract the months of COVID. So if you take away the months of COVID where nothing was happening, and that we finally did training, he only did about 5 weeks of training. And before we were even done the training, he got his first look with Tammy Robinson out of Jacksonville, Florida. Of course, it was under Zoom at that point. She liked exactly what he had done. It was phenomenal. And as a matter of fact, by the time, because I kept watching the audition, and I was like, this person, man, woo! Like he got what it took. Now, of course, he had thanked me. Yes, he had thanked me, but I have to thank him, because even with him sitting there having all this thought, like, is SLMTA real? Am I really? going to get the booking or whatever. Now he knows how difficult it is in the process of getting bookings, even if they sound so good that it's going to happen. He knows that we are linked with various clients, various industry leaders, that we're not just sitting here pulling smoke up our behinds about what we do believe. Like, I don't have to spend thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars to make a scene and then just all of a sudden show up and be like, oh yeah, like, I don't have to do that. But at the same time, sometimes you do have to do that though. Like, when I get back up there in Michigan, my very first couple of things that I want to do is a press release. I want to be up on the news to let them know exactly what is happening. I'm going to look about being on a podcast. So I'm actually already doing some podcasts. I'm just getting that set up. I'll let you know about that later. And we got a few other things that are going on. Like I said, I went and I found artists who are independent singer-songwriters, where we have specifically asked them if they would be interested in doing a concert online, and that they would get 30% of the proceeds or whatnot. They could definitely bring their paparazzi on the air with them. But the thing is that if they want a couple other people to be on the VIP club, then we want to keep those 100 just in case. If there are those from the SLMTA community that would be interested. But that's why I was telling you, join Patreon, because patreon.com/SLMTA. Pay that membership fee. If you join as a VIP member, you will actually get VIP status automatically. You will get the Zoom link where you can interact with the artist, him or herself, okay, while at concert. Typically what happens is the concert is pre-recorded, and then the amount of what we pay becomes the amount that we pay. So it's whatever, like 100% minus the 30% of whatever that would then be given to that artist, and then they would be available to speak with you via Zoom while the recording is happening. That's how it's usually set up. Just FYI, so that you're aware of that. Some of them may not be that way. It may end up being that they do not want that, if they just want you to be near them and a chance to be able to buy merchandise with them, that would be your VIP, okay? And that they would actually be doing live concert without it being pre-recorded. So it just depends on the artist for that matter. But it is going to be happening. We are excited. We're going to be rocking down the house. I will be up in Michigan again. The likelihood is, I'm looking at now, is probably going to be around May-ish. I got the June trip, and then the Miami photo shoot that's going to be happening. So I have a lot of things that are being set up in the next couple of months. What I need to actually do is have experienced agents who will be able to run the office on a clear day. Now, at one point there was all this about, well, pay me this, pay me that, and then I was like, well, the thing is that SLMTA needs to actually get someone who's an experienced actual agent, not someone that is the sales agent yet, because in order to get the experienced agent, they will be able to recreate the funneling of the money that's going on at the office and then report back to me. You see what I'm getting at? and they get paid 10 or 15% of the bookings from the artist. So and the reason I say experienced agents because we want them to actually do this. Now, I don't know, I'm going to be doing some hardcore research to find out if there are actual entertainment agents that are experienced in the Grand Rapids area or in Michigan as a whole. But the thing is that we are going to need that. Otherwise, what I'll probably end up doing is researching to get a general manager in there to actually, and then they will work on focusing on reconstructing the money lines of SLMTA up there. Now we have the office, we have everything happening. I'm doing everything that I can for up there, but at the same time, I am a CEO and I am doing bookings and I'm doing what you see, what I'm doing now. It's just too much for one person to be able to handle, plus have a work schedule and everything else. See, I'm human too, so I still have to pay bills. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to finagle a lot of things. The missing piece is actually making sure that we can bring the money in so that we would be able to then take care of the other who want to go ahead and do the scouting and things like that, because that's just how that goes. So right now, that's what it's looking like. I need to share my mission a little bit more, have people like knowing a little bit more up there what is going on. And also I need to weed out the wannabes. I have to, because I just don't really have the time for that. Wannabes are anyone who will take my time and would just rather sit on all of the negatives and not realize what the positives are about it actually happening. Because we are now booking people from, say, Michigan to go to Florida. Okay, and I'm going to have to track that from Chattanooga. You see what I'm getting at? But what we have is the fact that I don't know where some of the minds are with this, but I had some that said that they knew how to manage, but didn't. I had some others, So what I'm basically really trying to get at is I need to be sure that I can get a general manager. And normally a general manager is another director of the agency that is then added to the LLC as a whole. And they will do the work for a percentage of the company because it's the time and maybe some of the, in other words, and they also have to be stable. They cannot be unstable in any way, but that they know that their job is to create so that they are able to make the best in the investment that they have put out there. You see where I'm getting at? And that's what the idea of that comes from. That's what we're working on in that realm. And there's nothing illegal about it. The illegal part of it is for me to sit there and say, all right, you're going to be a general manager and we're going to give you $12 an hour. That would actually, it wouldn't be illegal. It'd just be stupid. And here's the reason why. Because the amount that they are actually able to bring back into the agency would be a whole lot higher than the $12 an hour if they could just focus on that and then reap the awards later. You see what I'm getting at? But you have to be able to be stable to be able to do that. It's like any other thing that you're starting a business, right? If you start a business but you don't have any way to bring merchandise or services to the table, you end up with a situation where now you are stuck where you cannot show up or something like that. So then you end up with this thought process of, oh man, I killed myself. I'm not going to be able to go there. And then next thing you know, you're not able to go there because of whatever the case may be. You know, you don't want to be having those issues. And you always want to have a job that will be flexible. Like me, I'm not going to lie. All right. Well, I'm a CEO of SL Models and Talent Agency and 14 other companies behind that under the umbrella. I'm going to tell you that I'm also a hardworking man as well, even though it may not seem like it. I actually have to go to my flex job. Luckily, Amazon has flexibility with their hour. So I go there to work with my flexibility. Why? Because as much as I talk about SLMTA and it growing and making money and all that, I don't pay myself until I know that the agency is set up and ready to go. And unfortunately, the truth of the matter is any real agency knows that, especially if you're going to be in a tight market. All right. Normal businesses know that it takes about 5 years before you see any real profit. But if you're with a tight market, it's probably going to be double that. Now, am I saying that I'm going to sit there and work Amazon for the next 10 years? No, actually what my hope is that I open up enough offices. That's what my plan is. Open up enough offices, have the people report to me so that I actually do not have to do that. And then I can report at the offices as needed to make sure that the audits are done correctly. That's how a real businessman does things. Okay. But you know, there are some that are faker than press on nails, and they'll probably even wear them. I don't. Mine are trimmed all the way down to the grill. Probably a little past that because I see a blood spot there. Anyway. The point that I'm getting at, and again, this is an interactive show, so come on live and let's just chit chat if you want to. I feel like I'm the only one that be sitting here like yak, 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 yak. But you know what? Y'all are learning something, I guess, right? I'm hoping. Some of you might be learning something. Some of you might actually be like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to trust this guy. Because he's too good to be true. Like you're sitting here saying that you're all this honest and everything, and you're just too good to be true. And that is a sad point, to be honest. There are folks out there that literally it's a sad thing. There are folks out there that literally say that when you're too good to be true, there's got to be a flaw in there somewheres. And you know, the flaw that SLMTA has is really the how fast we're actually growing, and the fact that I actually am going to need the staff to be able to staff it. The problem is that some of the staff that say that and it's okay to say the problems. It's called SWOT analysis. You got your successes, your weaknesses, right? Your opportunities and your threats, right? Well, I have a weakness. I need more staff, but I need the staff to understand what entertainment staff is, because a lot of people think, oh, well, no, if you could pay me more than $15 an hour, I'll be able to do the office. And it's like, but I'm not looking for someone to do the office. I'm looking for someone to actually create the wheel. In other words, the office is already there. So the office is there. SLMTA is getting the clients, the roster is being built. I got international agencies left and right, like really coming at me. Emails going left and right. The real question is where is the actual step? Can they actually not even recreate, but to create the last spoke, which is basically bringing the money in, because how quick we grew, the reason I'm still working on some tax issues right now isn't because I owe taxes or that I'm in an audit or anything. I'm definitely not. It's just that I had a whole lot going on. I had where I started this office here, started that office there. I had receipts over here, receipts over there. And the only thing was, it was just me doing it and not actually having the things in place where there was a general manager for these locations. And any real general manager of any company knows that they, with the LLC, that they are basically another member, which means that I would have to add them to the LLC paperwork, and that they have a particular ownership. Why? Because they're taking their time and their investment to be able to recreate how the money flow is coming into SLMTA. And then we have to make sure that the books are looking right. You know, that is basically, well, one of my jobs is that the books are doing right, but also to make sure that there's good functionality within each of the actual agencies. Now, as a corporation that we are in this case, we would have a hub, and our hub would be in Michigan. So the main bank account would actually be taking the certain percentages. Now, we're already doing good, just so that you are aware of that. We are already doing good where we're not asking anyone up front for any kind of money. Why are we doing that? There's two reasons. One is because I developed the office. So as long as I have developed the office, I have to make some kind of agreement with them, but they still have to be able to show that they're stable, because they're going to run the show. So if this is an opportunity where you want to start a business from the ground up and you really have what it takes to actually get money into a company and you earning your commissions back, your ownership back from it, then SLMTA is a great place if you love the fine and performing arts. Because we are opening these offices, but you're going to have to be stable to be able to do it. At the very least stable. We're not even asking anyone that they put money into the company. However, there may be times where you would have to, if there are certain things that you're going to have to do, okay, as far as running your office, that is, because technically it would be SLMTA, and because it's listed as SLMTA for tax purposes, you can write it off as equity on yourself when it comes to the 1099 form. But for us, we would need to know who put what into where. So if you put in $30,000 to really get SLMTA started in that state, then basically what we would end up doing is we would write it off as $30,000 equity from blah, 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 like whoever. And then you have a certain percentage, okay, of that company for that office. That would actually be your office. And that's what a lot of businesses do. And so you grow that. And then what happens is, depending on the percentage, like if it's a low percentage, like 5%, then you could start earning yourself bonuses with bonus percentages. So that's how SLMTA is set up, if you wanted to branch out. Now, we are looking for general managers that will be able to actually help that process. In Michigan, we're also looking, and then we're also looking for a general manager in Chattanooga here, as well as in Atlanta, Georgia. I think that we have our general manager for Atlanta, Georgia. It's the partnership agreement that I have with Brandon Moody, but we are also looking for then experienced agents. Now, in this case, you're not being the manager, you're not taking care of the foundations of the business. What you're doing is making sure that you are connecting with clients, finding clients, and developing bookings. And then your commission is the legal part of the industry, and that is 10% on union contracts and 15% of non-union contracts. That's what you can get from an artist. Now, some folks have asked me this question, and they're asking me it now, so I'm going to go ahead and just say it right now. And that is, what about the percentages of people that already had jobs and then they sign with you? Normally in this case, and I want you to listen to this very carefully. Normally in this case, if it's something where it's like episodes or something like that, we would wait to the next episode. But some of these questions are coming from those who are doing other jobs within jobs, which would be something like film production, what episodes or seasons or whatnot. If it started over again, it's as if you ended up restarting the contract as far as SLMTA is concerned. So it would be your, the minimum would be the 15%. Now with the clients, what we are doing because of the pandemic, we are basically waiving half of the 20%. Just to kind of help them out a little bit with their budgeting, especially low budget films and things like that. So we do that just to kind of help a little bit the best that we can in regards to that. And then, go from there. A lot of times we'll even negotiate if there's some pattern of needing help getting to Jacksonville. Like, let's say we'll use Malik as an example. If he needed help to get to Jacksonville, for example, then we would negotiate somehow where if there was help getting him there, that would actually come out of the bill, but that he would get the reel from it and things like that. So there are different ways to finagle something that a film producer is not able to actually, because the pandemic has really slowed everybody down. You have to make things work, and at the same time, like Malik, he would need to develop a very strong base resume. So that would be a great opportunity for him. I'm curious to find out what happens with that. But yes, there are ways that I can do it under still legal terms where it will not be half cost effective to the producers, casting directors, or whoever that may be paying the artist that would happen. Now, at one point, yes, at one point, the artist would definitely have to be then compensated for something. So if it is, so that's why I'm saying there's certain things that we could do to willy-nilly, like whatever it is, like if it's hotel or something like that, like whatever the case may be, that could come out of what their pay is rather than if they're not able, you know what I mean? This does not have, and by the way, this is just a 2021 ordeal. 2022, we are enforcing the rule. as they are. Like our movie extras, unless they are from the Dreamers division, again, a lot of what you see in our terms and conditions are actually listed on the website. But that is if you're looking at experience. Now, experience would be either A, you looking for someone experienced, or B, someone has been with that production, whether it's the third season, the third episode, whatever the case may be. If they've been with that production for at least a year, nonstop, and there was no issues, then they would start getting paid as an experienced actor. Okay. Until then, they would just be paid as a dreamer. Okay, which are basically 50% less than what the inexperience of the experience portions that you see there. So what's it, like 500 for extras? So if you're already beating that, then you don't even have to worry about it. These are the bare minimum that SLMTA says must be done. So if a dreamer gets paid $250 to be an extra, and you're paying $350, that is fine. You don't have to change that just because that's what our requirements are. I'm just telling you that SLMTA, that is the requirement minimum, okay, that will be paid to our movie extras. And then when it comes to experience and all that, it's all about the hours, how long you want them, and things like that. When it comes to inexperienced, then it's half of that. When you're talking about dreamers, meaning it's just beginning. This is probably your best bet, doing a low budget film and then becoming with an agency, because see, we're all around full service agency. So we have ways that we are able to work with budgets, and our Dreamers division is actually one of those ways where it becomes a lot less for producers or casting directors, ad agencies, or what have you. I will be honest, depending on the scenario, like Calvin Klein, for example, things they are literally looking for experience. Those kind of contracts can go up to, like, they can start at 2,000-3,000 and work their way all the way up. It can get extremely expensive. There are some for like print as well. Like you would have to, and then depending on if you want to use any of our supermodel, like Ashraf Talsi, like we are getting him booked. He's got bookings already scheduled on an international level. He'll be traveling soon yet again. But his bookings are literally thousands at one time. I mean, because of he is able, he is worth that. And we have different things about how you get in contact with his specific artists and whatnot as well, because someone like Ashraf would actually explain to us that so-and-so was inquiring about, and that's a professional way of doing it. And then we would get back with them and let them know that they need to go over, because we actually have a sophisticated site that is just for clients only, okay? Where you would go into the payment polls and things like that, because we need to make sure that you are agreeing to all the terms, whether it's the terms of the Dreamers division, the terms of the inexperienced, or the terms of our pro model, experience models and artists, or if you're going to go to supermodel level. But usually a lot of big companies end up hiring the supermodels. And when I say big companies, I'm talking about like where it costs you $2,500 for a pocketbook. Okay, like Gucci, Fendi, places like that. Um, they'll fly you to France type of thing, okay, and actually book you. Um, yeah, like we're not talking about a, a newspaper or something like that. We do have those too, don't get me wrong. We do have some local, like I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, where I'm going to be sending emails out to like 15 states of different local agencies, of ad agencies within the local regions of certain states, and actually doing bookings that way. We got a lot going on there. So that's what I'm saying. But I'm gonna need to start getting the help so that the money is going into the right places. Right now, I'm just gonna have to do where I see fit. So we have a SLMTA account to Michigan, where everything is going to be linked up with our clientele online server. And that's where you would be making payments. Now, the highest that we will go for new clients is about net 30. Okay. If you're used to paying sooner than net 30, that's fine. But net 30 would be the closest that we would be able to do. If you pay sooner, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that scenario. We at some point I will be finding someone. This is probably going to end up being a W-2 employee, where we might end up having them to run all the payments and stuff. They would be our what do we call that? Yeah, I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just so tired. It's not even funny. Uh it's at the tip of my tongue, but basically they could take the money and or send out invoices or whatever the case is. Usually when we have an agreement, the invoice is exactly attached to the actual agreement, so that the reminder is sent out. And if you promise that you're saying you're going to do something, say in a week. Now here's the issue that we have sometimes, is the difference between paying during a shoot and actually paying at the shoot, and if the shoot is over. And there were some clients that didn't want to work with us because of we have this particular clause. SLMTA requires that any hours of an employee that is working is considered workable hours, and it is by law that they be paid. Now, technically, it is law. Okay. And therefore, there is really not much that we could do. So the best thing that we could say is negotiate on what the hourly wage would be for them being on set, because you got some folks that are just sitting there on their day, and they might only be on that set for like 15 minutes out of the whole thing. And some producers, believe me, I've spoken to some of them, and they're like, well, they're inexperienced and I'm going to pay them this. I was like, look, inexperienced or experienced with SLMTA, you have to understand that if you're not going to do this and you're not going to do that, the very least is you're going to pay them, even if they're going to sit there and do nothing. Yes, because it doesn't make sense to favor one section and not the other. Now we do have an issue. Now we do have a daily rate when it comes to extras. Typically in the Dreamers division, it's about $250 a day. If you're looking for experienced extras, it's $500 a day. And in between it is $375. So that's where we're at now. Normally, nobody wants an experienced extra because technically there's no real actual thing like that. So the highest that we've ever had to do, or the highest that seems likely that it would be, is $375. Now that's on a daily basis. So if you're saying, well, we're going to want them, Monday and Tuesday, then that will be $750. But if it's going to take you to, say, June to actually make the shoot worthwhile, then it's up till the time that the shoot is done. So now you could do you could do a few things if you want. In that case, is you can calculate the weeks. We can negotiate a buyout of that whole entire, say, we'll use an episode as an example, where you can use the buyout of the episode, where if you know it's going to cost you $6,000 and you want to save $2,000, then the buyout would be $4,000. And then all at that point, if it saves you enough, then what we would probably say is, as long as you're able to help, I don't know, like with hotel costs, he would be able to use that money to then, you know what I'm saying, those kind of things. But if you're gonna say 370, if it's gonna be $375 a day, right, or $250 a day, and it's going to take you to June to do something, and it's about 20 weeks, and you're looking at about nearly $7,500. So it's easier sometimes just to buy out for that season, for that episode, for that time that you're needing to work with them. Now, if that does have, the reason that most of them will not do that, because I'm no different than the new client, okay, because we're new. And if they hadn't seen like how our roster will react with what they're doing, then sometimes it's not safe to do a buyout, and therefore it saves a little bit of money on just doing the daily rate. So it really just depends on what your gut feeling is going to be about the whole entire process, but that's what you would basically want to think about. But yes, low budget, no budget, having a budget, getting a budget, executive producers, whatever the case may be, you have to understand that you're paying for those being there. Now, when it comes to actual actors, depending on if they're, okay, first of all, you need to know if you're going to use experience or inexperienced. Now, in SLMTA, we actually have 3 categories. If you're going to have a role that as low as you want to go is probably inexperienced. Now, Malik Bank falls between inexperienced and dreamer. Why? Because he has done the training. He's been working with me through this. I have the credentials to be able to lead him on. But this is going to be real life experience for him. So at the same time, while he has the experience, he is inexperienced in the truth of being involved in a production. We'll put it that way. So we'll use him. Let's say that we are able to work it out where it's $250 a day. Okay. That $250 a day being an extra, regardless of how many hours it is that he's sitting there on set, because that's usually how that piece goes. All right. Now, there are times where it could be negotiated. So like I could literally say, hey, okay, you're gonna get paid $150 a day, but they're gonna pay $100 for your hotel. You see what I'm getting at? Now I'm throwing a wink in there on purpose. Why? Because they'll know that they're getting paid something, but at the same time, they don't have to worry about another thing when they already are going to have to pay out of pocket for something else. So that's why it's very important that you get your 1099 and your paperwork in when you are an actor or any type of independent employee, because you're going to need that, because it's all expenses for a business that you can write off. I mean, in this past year, you probably would have even gotten credits depending on what you're writing off. Okay, now we have a lot of things to cover yet, and I didn't even get to them. I didn't even get to tonight's actual topic. So I'm going to talk about tonight's topic since I'm at the last hour. I might go a little bit over anyway. I wanted to share this other information because I thought it was important for you guys. All right. Before I go into that next topic, I want to check over here at YouTube. Yes, YouTube. YouTube is doing excellent. And by the way, we are heading towards 500 subscribers. We need a few more. Please do not forget to subscribe at our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com. It is the gold icon logo with the red ring around it. Okay, you'll press the subscribe button and then the notifications button, and we will be able to communicate together. Indeed, indeed. Then if you'd like, we already have about 100 Patreon. So if you are interested in upgrading to a VIP package, now is the time to do it, because we have some great opportunities coming up very shortly that you don't want to miss, and that you can be part of the VIP club for some of our main events that are coming up on YouTube live stream, as well as Vimeo in the near future. Yes. Also, that website is www.slmta. Oh, excuse me, www.patreon.com/SLMTA. And then we also have some other small updates that I wanted to bring to your attention. Let's see. Yeah, so please do not forget to subscribe. Now, April 15th. Yes, almost like the deadline of the tax season. Believe me, and I'm probably going to be right to that deadline. Well, I actually have till May 15th as far as the business thing goes, but because they all are attached together, I have to actually try to get mine done, even if it means that I get most of it done now and then have to amend it later. But I have to do something, because my personal taxes are going to be then behind because of the the LLC. And believe me, there's a lot of stuff. I got about 30 levels of stuff that is on my chart, and they're going to go item by item by item in the tax office. just to make sure that everything is going to be good. And it's just, that's what usually happens if you have a very, very, very good tax preparer, that they go through line item, line item, line item. Like, you can't just go throwing finagling numbers like, yeah, it was 3,300. And then you have no way of actually proving, like, you don't have receipts or nothing to show that you spent $3,300 on anything, you know? It's just, it is just the way it is, because believe me, the next year they find out that it's like worse or 3 times more than what it was last year, it could spawn an audit, especially when they find out that if, well, you know, here's all your bills, this is all the people that are involved with you. Were you actually able to afford this loss along with all of your other bills, or where did all that money come from? Because believe me, those questions did come up with me, and I said, well, no, I did some business. I actually did do some business and didn't realize it in the process of everything that was happening. And then there was some other stuff that I actually have to pay to individuals because it had nothing to do with us. So there was that too. Like, there were some clerical things that had to get fixed and done, and you know, and then to make sure that we have made them right, of course. But yeah, so you want to try to keep all that stuff honest, because man, it's even worse than breaking the law in the entertainment industry when you have to deal with tax problems. And I know that because I'm over here trying to do all that while running the company as well. So that's why things have been a little bit awkward, okay, with me actually, with my consistency of being on and actually, you know, reporting to you guys and whatnot. All right, the big thing that I want to talk about tonight is our Spring Fling Extravaganza and the Kids Showdown Extravaganza. What are these? Well, SL Models and Talent Agency LLC has decided that we were going to be doing quarterly contests instead of yearly. And that our showcases would happen biannually. And then, of course, our biggest convention, or our big convention for the Dreamers division, would be MAAI. All right, well, I want to get very, very specific with this. The Dreamers division is for anyone who has no experience whatsoever in the industry, wants to know about the industry, and therefore they have 2 rights. They can go all the way through with the idea of that they can make their dream a reality, or that they want to know enough to know how they can benefit themselves to be more contrite to themselves, maybe become more confident, whatever the case may be, that would actually be on their plate. Now, with that being said, that also means some may go to MAAI and some may not. It depends on what their intention is, and that's why we do what we call an analysis. We actually spend about 30 minutes on the phone or face-to-face to discuss where you are, which is probably nowhere. Like, where you are is speaking with me right now, right? And then where you want to go. And if you're saying that you're inspiring to want to become an actor and you have a passion for modeling, then our goal is to get you to MAAI, okay? But if you're saying things in a way of, well, I have a difficult time being confident in front of people, and I don't know how to even have a smile in front of my own mother, or whatever the case may be. All right, then you don't need the actual training as forced upon someone that would want to go into it for a performance related reason. You see what I'm getting at? You'll get some of the training, yes, but the training, now, could we try to invite you? Could we try to invite you, not entice you? Have you noticed the difference? So we could try to invite you and to build your confidence in the reality that you could become a model, or you could become part of the Dreamers Club. But I cannot force you into or entice you into, yes, that's what you're going to do because you signed in this program. Because there are two different programs. Now, our motivation programs are quarterly and they are 10 weeks long. And they have some training within the arts, but it's more of a psychological, motivational, confidential type training. And we would utilize some of the performing arts and action in it to help build you. But you don't get the same thing that the audition readiness and performance readiness programs of our Community Stars program provides in the Dreamers division. That's where you will pay for a year's worth of education, and that education is to lead you to the convention. So we start you off with audition readiness. Audition readiness gets you where you are that you're getting to the steps of preparation for audition. That's where you're going to be getting a few of these weeks of the motivation, psychological, innovational type trainings. And then you're going to get built into actually going to showcases where you would actually audition. All right. We might even send you to job orders, and they might lead into bookings. It depends. But the idea is that you are auditioning. That's the key. It's not to say that you're going to get the job. You never want to think that you will get the job, but you also don't want to think of it as, if I don't get the job, what's the point either? So what you do is you own that audition as if you would get it. But I always say, prepare for the worst or hope for the best, right? That's basically the best way you could put it. They would let you know. You get a call back. They might ask you to do some other stuff. Like we did the audition with Malik. Tammy liked it, and then it was like pretty much like the callback type scenario where she wanted him to act on his own in an angry way and show a happy expression as well. Well, that's what we ended up doing. Now, I basically stepped into the process of gearing him up to the message that he needed, because in reality, we had to put him to the test to be able to do that. And he actually had passed that test. Now I'm just waiting for Tammy to find out how good he might have passed the test, like if he got in. So that's where we're at. So we're at round 2. Now we'll see if that led him to a booking. Well, long story short, that's how the audition readiness program works. So performance readiness, this is the one where you will be performing. We will be doing different live events, different types of things where you will be continuing the process. Yes, you will be able to. Now here, you can add on. So let's say that your focus is on I will tell you this price. Let's say your focus is on modeling, but you want to learn how to act as well. That would be another, so much money every for that time period. Okay. And sometimes it could be prorated. So it wouldn't be the yearly rate. Why? Because you're starting in the performance readiness. It's not at the audition readiness. All right. The hardest part is when you want to be a musician. Why? Because you have some that will train you with your voice, others that will train you with specific instruments, and they are all total different types of fees. So you're going to have to know how much your actual budget is going in. But the requirement of the actual program is one set fee, and that is for a particular purpose that you want to focus on. All right. Which means that, yes, starting out, it's going to be like you wanting to be a model, but you would like to be an actor as well. Well, it's one thing to want to do that. It's another thing that are you able to, because the training for acting, I mean, besides the innovation, motivation, and confidence trainings, they are pretty straightforward. You're going to learn that regardless. So they are what I call the opening chapters of your training. And we have specific individuals that will do that training. Now, I've worked with a few, and some I had a difficult time. And the reason is because I go based off of what everybody is doing. And I take a total number, and then I have to drop everybody else so it doesn't fit it, because we want to make sure that SLMTA will be able to afford it so that we're not raising your bill up. So let's say, for example, we had 30 inquiries of doing training. And out of the 30, 20 of them said we would do, let's just say that it would be $1,500, $1,500 for the duration of the program. And then I would say, okay. And then you get the other 10 that are saying, okay, I will charge you, say $300 a week. Now we'll take what $300 per week is, and then subtract that, or we would subtract the $1,500 from that to find out what our loss would be. And if it is more than double, then we would probably not want to pay $300 a week. We would probably rather just pay a set price. And why is that? Because a set price basically means that it would be like, let's say, if it's going to be $800 for their mentorship program. It's not about what we have provided. It's about how long can you do a mentorship program and what it would cost. We don't want it to go past the amount of what we are charging, because technically speaking, the money that we are charging for you guys are for the real things to happen, like your photo shoot, your showcases, and your convention. Okay. Now, for some of you that are going to be taking our sophisticated quarterly classes on the psychology of human development or whatnot, those types are basically, you're looking at about a $1,500 charge. That's basically what that would be for 10 weeks. So it would be equal to $150 a week. So we had some folks trying to say, well, I'm going to charge you $800 per person. And then I would be like, but if you're saying it's going to be $800 per person, but it only costs, if it's literally that you're making a profit at $1,500 to do the thing for the 10 weeks, and you already have that, then I'm kind of confused. See, it's easier. Like if I had time to train along with everything else, I would do it and then literally not charge you half as much, but I cannot do that plus the other and then the other. It's just a lot on one person. So I have to hire folks. But there are those who will come out and say that. Now, what I normally do in this case is if there's a lot of them that will say that, what I will do is see who negotiates the lowest. And what do I mean by that? I would basically say, look, first of all, what I'm going to say is I'm already charging $1,500 for that. So we would need to go at least halfway on that right off the top. If you're going to do it per person, then that's what it will end up being. My goal is to actually go as low as I can to where they would have to go up to as far as they can. What does that mean? Well, let's say I told them I want to do $300 per person. And they're like, no, how about we do, I'll be okay with 800. I say, no, 350. Then they say, okay, 600. Then I might take a stab at it and say, okay, 400. And then if they say 500, then I say, all right, done. That's how I basically handle money issues with snaggers. Because what they're doing is making a sales pitch. So I figure if they're going to try to do a sales pitch with me, then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to snag at it. And now the real question is if you have 10 individuals at 500, you're making $5,000, but you're saying that the program's worth 1,800. You're already making a profit, but in their mind, it's like, yeah, but look at the money that I'm losing. You see what I'm getting at? So they're trying to pitch me, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go for every person that I have and charge them $2,500 because you want $1,800. That doesn't make sense. And some of these folks had not yet proven to me anything except cunning attitude and cunning speeches that could prove to me that this is actually working. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't pay any attention to it. Now, there are some of those that are right. Like I've actually am developing a relationship with a artist right now. Well, a few actually, I'm going to say that a few artists right now. And that topic hasn't even came up about, we're going to do, 500, 800, a person. Usually when you're being quoted on something like that, most of them just figure out what the time it's going to be for that and what the dedication is. So if they see that there's a class of 10 students and they're all in the same learning curve or whatnot, then they may be able to do group classes, and it could literally cost me $1,000, and it would only be, $100 out of each of the students' money that they paid out to be able to do that. So that's what I'm basically trying to say, is that we're willing to pay, but we're also not willing to listen to the cunning sales pitch. Okay, we know if you're trying to pitch us and if you're actually meaning business. If you're pitching us, it's the wrong way to go, because you're talking about you're wanting to collaborate. And that is what the utmost important thing is for the agency. Collaboration is not to sound cunning to where it makes you like the utmost person on a pedestal. Collaboration means that it has to be that you're working together as a team to accomplish the same goal. Okay. So what happens is if you're working together, but like there was one contract that somebody had me going to, well, almost did, but you know, I've learned this, so now I could share this with you guys, where they were talking about this top-notch photographer, okay? And so what I had to do, and believe me, I wrote down the notes and I'm sitting there, I'm reading through them, I'm reading through them, I'm reading through them, and I'm like, something here just doesn't make any sense. I'm clueless to what's going on. And I'm looking and I'm reading it and I'm like, so they want $700 and something per person plus 15% of the profits. First of all, let me just tell you a little secret about marketing law that some of you probably don't know. And if you don't know it, listen now. I'm not a lawyer either. I'm just telling you some of the things that was shared with me already. The market has a value to it, and you can only mark up so far. If you have somebody trying to tell you where you're already surpassing the market and they're saying that, no, you can mark it up for yourself because we have it like that, so you let them know how much of full baloney that they actually are. The reason is they use that to be cunning towards you. All right, what they're saying is, no, we didn't break the law. Okay, we have our mark up to the market value. Yeah, that may be true, but in the real sense, you wanting to collaborate with us, I'm not able to mark it up, so we're not really collaborating for the benefit of each other. You're collaborating so that you could go ahead and get a hold of us for your own purpose. Now, again, that is not going to work with SL Models and Talent Agency. We do not entertain that at all. Okay, we know markups, we know market values, we know what's going on pretty much out there as far, and if we do not know, then we speak with our legal teams and whatnot, and we figure it out, we make that decision. So now what we normally do is any agency coming to us, asking us to do whatever, I don't care how strong their pitch is to us, or what excuses they may have about how we're doing this and we're not doing that and all of that. I'm going to tell them we're taking it to our team and we'll let you know when we get an answer. Now they could turn around and check back with us later, and basically if our team says no, that's what the answer would be, no. But we're not going to we're not going to continue to finagle and play games and all that with people's money and whatnot, because to be honest, that's what we would be doing. Okay. And if I already am seeing rivalries, if I'm already seeing how people are cunning and doing sales pitches, then it's probably best for us to maybe part ways and then wait for them to decide if they're going to actually do what is best for their agency. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to get involved in anything where people will not be able to entrust SLMTA because of a cunning sales pitch. You see what I'm getting at? And when I say a cunning sales pitch, what I mean is somebody that will turn around and actually throw excuse after excuse about how great they are, how long they've been there and everything else, which is all good and dandy. But the what you have to listen to is the attitude behind what they are actually trying to do for you. Okay, they'll come out with this idea of, we want to brand you in front of other agencies or national agencies. Then the question is, listen to the agencies that they are listing, that they're saying that they are going to put you in front of, and then do some research and see if you find anything on it. That's what you do. That's the first step. All right. Then the second step, what you want to do is, if that is happening, if there is some truth to it, then you want to actually back it up, maybe with a confirmation phone call. And if they're going to tell you anything that is going to be like, oh, it's confidential or whatever, then what you do is, because it could mean two things. It could either mean that it is confidential with whatever it is that they have going on with that agency, or that the agency already had a pre-qualified phone call where that agency was already where this is planned in case this happens. Okay, so you're going to have to make that judgment call. Oh yeah, we know all the secrets, the lies, and all kinds of tricks that people put in to to make it look like things are happening when they're actually not happening. Okay, even when they look the best. And believe me, I've been, I follow and whatnot now. If I'm liking something, it's because before I was just doing whatever. Okay, if I'm liking something now, then at the very least, you know that you're heading in the right direction. If I'm not liking it now, then it's probably because you know that I know something. All right. Because I don't want to get involved in something. No company wants to get involved with any company that's just going to have made up stuff, and that's all that it's going to be. Like, for example, if all I was doing was telling my roster, let's go do photo shoots, and they're paying out of the butts to do photo shoots, but actually not getting at least job orders, then it's making me look kind of dumb, even though that in reality, I'm not really actually looking dumb, because we got the photo shoots. So now I could probably say, hey, look at the photo shoots that we had, right? But that's not what you want to do. Now you want to do that. You do want to do that on a quarterly basis. Like SL Models and Talent Agency, we do have where you can do photo shoots every quarter. Okay. And then we have a cost for them. Now, when we do the Miami photo shoots, they are almost like showcases. You're going to be in front of big brands, big photographer, big agencies, etc. Like we invite them out and tell them we're going to be doing this, doing this day, doing that over here, blah, blah, blah. So what happens is, and this Miami photo shoot, what we have decided to do, and this was very last minute, we have this decided to do it invitational only. So that means if you get an invitation, because we do not want anybody involved with anything, we're trying to squeeze away any rivalry and all of that. And believe me, we know how to do business. SLMTA is dumb. All right, we just have to make sure that we weed out any potential issues that there may be. And believe me, that there was a little bit of tension here and there. But in any case, yeah, so our Miami photo shoot is invitation only. and it would be up to 30. And then it's up to you if you want to actually do it or not. I mean, you don't have to. I'm not going to force you. But then once we go through those 30, if only 10 out of that reply, then we're going to actually, then we'll send another 30 till we see that we have it. The only thing is we're getting closer to time now. So it's almost like you're going to have the $750 available. We might be able to split them in 3 payments, but the last final day is Friday, February 11th, I think it is, at 5 p.m., where you're going to be able to pay for that photo shoot. Good news is that if you're paying your down payment for your July start date of training, then you are already in the Miami photo shoot by default. Unless you're telling me, no, I'm not interested in doing the photo shoot at this point in time, then that would be kind of weird, because everything is going to be included. All right. Well, most of everything's going to be included except for the hotel. Like, you're going to get your hair, makeup, you're going to be getting all that stuff is going to be included. That's relevant to that. Your exposure, your experience, the photo shoot itself, your portfolio kit, all the photos electronically, everything. You're going to get copies of everything, your hair and makeup, all that. And I believe, yeah, at least your travel is going to be taken care of. Now, your hotel expense, you may still have to do. All right. But all that will be included in your down payment to the trainer. And that's actually going to be the starting phase of your training, if you're into like the modeling perspective. All right. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be in the training to do this either. There are some of you out there that have asked me, do I have to take the full training to get the photo shoot? No, technically you do not have to take the full training to do the photo shoot. However, by then, if you're going to spend $750 and you find out that you made a flop on this 4 days, then you might want to rethink your experience. We will prorate the down payment. We'll do that. But we don't want you to be spending $750 and then this and that. And by the way, there is a clause in there like about refund policies and things like that, because we are already aware of some of the shenanigans that would be involved with that. So let's talk about Spring Fling. Spring Fling is actually going to be a contest. The Kids Showdown is just going to be the kids version of it. That is ages 4 and up. And then the adults, okay? That would also include young adults and trendsetters who are like 35 plus. And what the contest is going to be is dependent upon what area you want to get involved with. So if you're into, now, by the way, this also does not mean that you have to be an SLMTA member. Okay, you do not have to be in the Dreamers Club. You don't have to be an experienced model. You could be a freelancer. You could be a wannabe. It don't matter to me. I just want to let you know that that we do have this online contest, and it is going to be a submission contest, and then we would basically take down the voting will determine who's going to be the top what, and we're going to start at the top 100 and weed our way down from there. So there'll be 5 rounds. It's top 100, top 50, top 25, top 10, and then the top 5. After that, then we're gonna have the top 1, the big kahuna of each of the divisions. And then we're gonna have the SLMTA top prize, which would actually be, depending on the department, it could be the top prize for a model would be free makeup and hair kit, as well as free makeup and hairstyle for photo shoot, photo printing. And we are working with our locals about, now we have plenty of sponsors from every which corner because everybody is going to be from anywhere. So what's going to actually happen is we do have sponsors that are on a corporate level, and they will be shared in the local districts, if that makes sense. Like, say, for example, Ultra Beauty, okay? Ultra Beauty would be a sponsor, but the local areas of the town would actually be able to call in to verify if that was a, blah, blah, blah. That's how that part would be set up if we were being sponsored in that way. We are waiting to hear back from a few of our sponsors. That's another thing I've been doing. We do have artists that we're talking with right now in regards to giving some mentorship and actually building up the genre of the top singer-songwriter. So there's a lot going on with the Spring Fling. We have the Extravaganza Spring Fling and the Kid Showdown Extravaganza, and they're both going to be starting April 15th, and they will be running through June. Okay. And then what's going to happen is toward the middle of June, we're going to be starting our summer fling, and we'll talk more about that, but everything is going to be kind of crisscrossing each other. Now, this is for those who are interested in it, and it doesn't matter. They could be national and international because we now have our international division open. So we are able to work that out. And actually by the fall, we might actually have an international office open, particularly speaking in France. So that is something that we are working on as well as we speak. Let's see. Excuse me. I invite everyone. This is going to bring a lot of exposure. The exposure that I'm talking about specifically in this piece of it really has to do with the artists, the models that will be mentoring. Yeah, we're talking about actual supermodels like Ashraf Talsi and a few other supermodel models who will actually do some of the mentoring. The top prize, this is actually free to you. We would actually be taking on the cost. For the rest of you, if you're still interested in it, you just have to sign up by June to actually get involved with this year's MAAI, the Community Stars program. The Community Stars program has 2 pieces to it: the audition readiness and the performance readiness, and they both have to be passed in, and then you would actually go to actually to the big MAI next July. So we're starting this July through next June for preparation on that. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want to make the schedule easier for, especially for the kids that are going to school. Okay. We know that there's going to be different variations of scheduling, but as an after school project, yes. We know that typically homework happens on a Friday because they give it to a Sunday. So what we normally do is say, let's do Sunday afternoon training. So you may see the kids actually training more on Sunday afternoon than maybe on a Wednesday, okay, after school. It's not going to be more than 1 or 2 days a week at a time. And then, of course, depending on the holiday, I'll tell you the 2 holidays. During the Christmas and New Year's, you got 2 weeks off there without training, whether you're adult or not. Easter is a week off as well. 4th of July, we also give you that week off as well. And there was one other one that we oh, the Thanksgiving week. And why do we do that? I'm going to tell you why. Because now I'm a believer of God too, but I also believe in the truth of things. Thanksgiving is always where it is. Yeah, it might be a separate date, but we know it's always on a Thursday. Christmas is on a 25th, but it's not really that bad. And then we know that New Year's is the next week, but then 4th of July never passes. It's the American birthday. So we don't have any we are really excited about this new program that we do have. So we give you plenty of time off. We give you plenty of time to prepare. For the kids, it probably would be every 2 weeks because or every 2 weeks, 2 times a week, because we need to make sure that it gives them enough time we could follow up. But the classes wouldn't be as long, if that makes sense. So instead of it being like 3 hours for 2 days a week, it would be like maybe 2 hours or an hour and a half, for 2 days a week. That way, then we could follow up and know for sure where they are at in their training, especially when it comes to those. Typically, during the break times, you will start to see an extra hour of training. So don't frantic if you start seeing that on the schedule as well, just so that you're aware. Adults. Okay, the adults division, whatever age, 18 plus. It would end up, you have the choice of 2 days a week or 1 day a week, but I will tell you that your training is going to be very intensive. The training will be intensive. So if it's 2 days for 2.5 hours, you can only train for 1 day, make sure that you have at least 6 hours available for training if you go for the 1 day a week. All right. That's just that is just going to depend, and then we are going to have to work that out with the trainer that we have for you, because most people we're going to do is see who's going to be available what, and then have that schedule created. And then that's what it will end up being. So you're going to have to work the kinks out with your trainer. But if you have more people in your group, you're also going to have to see if it will be fair to the group. If you have to change completely and the group's not able to do it, but your trainer is flexible with you, you may have to pay the additional fee of whatever the difference would be if they have to go and do you on a separate level. All right. But either way, we're going to need to know those different things. The reason that we have it like this, again, it is on a sophisticated level, but it's also on a very simple level. We want to be sure that everybody has a schedule that will work for them. Okay, so that there is no confusion in any way. Now, the main schedule that you'd have to worry about, excuse me, is probably your first 10 weeks. Okay. And that is because that is your psychological training. I call it psychological training, but it's really your creation innovation training that you'll be doing. It's 10 weeks and it helps you to motivate you, helps you develop your creative skills and confidence and posing skills and all of that. And then from there, then you will actually be going into action on your specific thing that you want to study. The reason I'm saying that is because most likely, I'm not sure, because there are a few that was able to do this, but I've been having an issue with the fact that they want to be all over the place in their pricing, and not one person's willing to work on one level with another person being all the way over here. So what I have decided to do is that I may have to develop that syllabus, and it will end up being me doing the training. That way, then it will actually save 10 weeks worth of that. And I know for sure that you guys will have everything prepared. I figure if you're going to pay for it, I might as well get paid a little something, but at least I'll be able to do this for you guys. At that point, I don't have to worry about if I'm going to be losing my job or whatever. But yeah, with the students, with the children, ages 4 to 17, we are probably going to be doing one time a week. All right. And it's going to be split up. So from 4 to about 10, we're going to be doing 1.5 hour sessions. Okay. And it will most likely be on a Saturday evening. All right. Because they're doing the homework during the day. There's probably nothing else much happening, and you don't want your kids to go out late anyway, right? So not a better time than to be able to do that. So they could be on Zoom and they can have a little bit of fun. We would make it a little bit more interesting for the kids. You know, they'll watch animes and things like that to keep them motivated. Then the next class of students would be 11 to 17. That's pre-teen and teen. That would actually be sitting in on a 2.5 hour class. And it would be also done on Zoom for 10 weeks. And this would most likely be on a Monday evening. okay? Or excuse me, on a Sunday evening, I'm sorry, on a Sunday evening or afternoon. Why do I keep saying evening? I know why I'm saying evening. I know why, because of what's coming up next. Sunday afternoon. So probably like, after church or whatever, for those of you that attend church on Sunday, you'll be looking at about, about 3 to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Okay. And then, wow, all this yawning. I'm sorry, folks. I really am. And then after that, the adults, you're actually going to be, you're going to be training for two days a week. And it will end up being exactly like it is right now, except instead of Tuesday, well, no, it won't be the same thing. It's going to be Wednesday from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And then Sunday, it's going to be the same way, 6 to 8:30 p.m. It is the best available that I have available. And it is one of those things that you're going to have to make work. Now, this might change in another quarter, okay? But you will have to take this part of the classes at some point, and it would have to be either in your first quarter or your second quarter. Now, if things change, I will let you know. Like if I could actually find someone that is willing to work with me and not trying to make sale pitches, then we will go ahead and we can add them to the schedule, and then maybe get a few more people that will be able to fit in other ways. But other than that, you will still you'll probably still be getting your training for the other things as well. So you'll want to schedule that in there, okay? Because it doesn't stop you from doing those trainings. It's just that this one is literally going to be, it's going to be 10 weeks of this type of training, okay, to get you prepared for the industry as a whole, that you'll know everything. We're even going to be going through some contract law and copyright law and all that as well. So you're going to want to know a whole lot more than just knowing how to pose. See, here's the problem when folks give these trainings like this. They only focus on the things that they know they could still pitch you afterward. Oh, do you want to know about copyright law? Okay, that's another $1,500. I'll give you everything you need to know. We are not going to do that. We're actually, because depending on what first of all, to spend $1,500 on copyright law, you got to make sure that that person is a licensed entertainment lawyer, okay, in order to teach it. So you can't just say, oh, I'm a consultant on contract laws. Like, I'm not saying I'm a consultant on contract law, but I want you to understand how to read a real contract in case if you sign with an agency. That's the whole point of that, what I mean by contract law, because I know that, okay? And it's going to help you guys understand it a whole lot more. And then as you're getting in, like, oh, yeah, I want to be a singer-songwriter. I have that gift, but I don't know what to do to get started. Okay, well, here's some other tips that we need to bring in there, right? And then we start sharing those ideas. Now, yeah, it's going to cost you some money to get into the program, but as long as you're paying on a monthly basis or whatever after your down payment, you're good, because you have everything already set up for the year. So there is nothing more that you need. You just need to be able to stay focused on what your specific payment is. And you can set it up in every other week or once a month or every week. We could do it at whatever way you want to do it in that way. That is comfortable for you. But the main thing is that you know what is happening during that year as a dreamer. Now, for those of you that are only taking a 10-week course and it has nothing to do with you wanting to do anything but that you want to help motivate yourself, you want to build more success in your life and those kind of tactics, your training is going to be a little bit different. And we have made a day specifically for that. That's going to be, for now anyway, because of Sabbath comes in later, it's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. every Friday for 10 weeks. Okay. And you'd only have to pay $1,250 for that. All right. And it's 30% down and then 10 equal payments. You could pay ahead without penalty. That's fine. But basically, you will get the same training. It's just going to be on a different date. Okay. And that is for adults only. We're trying to figure out if we can add something for the kids, but Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. You may not need that whole time. But yeah, that's where we are at. And I think that's it. I think that's all that I really have to say about that program. Our spring fling extravaganza again with the kids showdown extravaganza. That is going to be starting April 15th. And I am working out the details of where you'll go to vote. Okay. For the most part, we are doing the Southeast versus the Midwest. So this is more of a national type contest, but it had leaked out to international. So I think we're just going to end up just leaving it wide open. So that's where we are at this point. And then we'll have everybody submit, but there's only going to be one top winner out of each category, out of each genre. Now, the good news is it was going to be $150. What we have decided to do is make the kids showdown $50 for a submission, and the adult was going to be $75 per submission. If you're going to do, when I say per submission, you are only allowed to do one submission per category. And you're only allowed up to 3 specific genres. That does not mean that you're going to be picked for all 3 of the genres. When you do pay your submission and you make it to the next level, meaning that you reach the top 100, you will submit again, but there will not be a payment. Your submission will actually be your live performance that we would be doing. We will be spending a week online where you will be on Zoom and you guys will have a number with your name and everything will be listed on the thing, and you will go on Zoom. And then we have a sophisticated system where your original submission will be listed with your actual portfolio of pictures or whatnot and bio. And then they can vote via text and it will link it to our polling system so that we will be able to see and you would know who the next 50 winners would be right after that. And that's how we're going to do that. All right. Um, we have a few resources that are going to be helping us out with that, and we are excited for that. When we get everything off from the press, you will see everything and know everything. But I'm going to be just speaking on general terms right now because we don't need eyes and ears sitting around trying to make some story statements about something that, like you hear something, and as soon as they hear something, it's like, oh, and that's been the big thing. Like when I mentioned about the Moda pageant, which we're still doing, right? Um, that's being launched in April as well, believe it or not. I believe I told you that. As soon as I mentioned Moda pageant, it's been told, oh, well, you know that like this, we have a pageant, but then there's this that has Moda. And you know what I did? I went online and researched just a bit under Google, just a Google search. And I said, businesses, the word Moda. And my God, they were all listed. I was like, what are you trying to pull? Except to waste so much more. I don't have time to be listening to what people think copyright is. I mean, if you want to know copyright, then sit in one of my lessons that are coming up soon. Even with Malik Banks, we're actually going to be doing another copyright thing. We're going to be focusing more on contract law, though, this time, relating to copyright, because there's folks that think that because they might have a word like, let's just say the word unstoppable, we're going to just trademark that thing. You can trademark that thing, but I could say that I am the enlisted unstoppable, or I'm the unstoppable enlister. Now, I can put a trademark in front of that, but I can't say that you're not allowed to use unstoppable just because I got it on my slogan. As a matter of fact, these are the things that people don't realize when it comes to copyright. They actually think, oh, because I own that word, that they think that they have the word. Well, guess what? You need to go and look under the U.S. Patent and Copyright Office, and you will see in the trademark column every single business name that has a trademark Moda in it. It don't matter if Moda is in the beginning of the phrase, at the end of the phrase, in the middle, or if it's cross-reference or whatever. There's about 195 different companies that have Moda in it. It just depends on if you're putting it in the exact way that another person put it. That then you're breaking trademark rules. Also, you have to have a trademark to be able to claim a trademark. If you notice, there's some things there that I would love to actually trademark, but I have to wait. There are reasons why I have to wait, but I have to. And so then I can go ahead and gain my access. It's mainly financial reasons because I got other things that are coming up and I don't need the other things to get in the way. So make a long story short, folks, don't try to don't try to intimidate anyone else without trying to make a fool of yourself. There's no other way of me putting it. All right. You literally have to know exactly what it is. So you're talking about if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't know what trademarking is, And I'm not talking about the mere, like, I know what a trademark is. No, no, because you don't. And as a matter of fact, the trademark isn't even an actual trademark unless you are already intending it for use. But it doesn't even become legal until it's registered. Okay? Meaning that that trademark has to be approved. There are some folks that were trying to put trademarks in there, and it's just been crazy. It's been a whole lot more crazier than I thought it was going to be. When I see some of the trademarks that are out there, and they're like, they come up with like very weird scenarios. Okay. Okay. For example, if you have a service, right? I'm going to give you one example of what I mean by the difference of a patent versus a trademark. All right. If you have a service and you know no one else ever had it, and that you can literally claim, meaning that you have a poll and that you have people, like actual good number of people to say, this really worked. This is how it worked for me, right? You have stuff to back it up because they're going to ask you. Either way, trademark or patent, it don't matter. They're going to, you're going to have to show something that there's actual worth with this. Okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you all the steps right now because that's a whole lesson that I'm going to be giving Malik on Tuesday. But the point that I'm getting at is this. There is a difference between you saying that, all right, I'm going to give you the first example. This is an easier one, and then I'm going to go to services, all right? This bottle, this Snapple, the actual juice that they make is the patent, okay? Something about Snapple that everybody loves, right? But the logo and the actual name is the trademark. Well, you may have, let's say, for example, SL Miles and Town Agency, right? I got a logo and it's trademarked, okay? And then I have all these other like trademarks. Tell me, do you think, I want you to think about this because I'm going to tell you the truth about it here in a minute. Do you think that Community Stars is actually a trademark, or could it be a patent? See, this is what I want you to understand. Because a lot of people think that it's easier to do the trademark, but the problem is, no, now you're just wasting money. They don't give you refunds, by the way, just FYI, so that you know that. So you wasted money on a trademark that should have been a patent. Why? Because a new service has been developed by you that is basically an invention of the services already out there. So for example, Community Stars, right, is being patented. Why? Because there is no other program like that one. However, there are going to be all kinds of people probably trying to convince me otherwise. Anyone that would probably have a conflict of interest on it is anyone that would probably be developing their own stupid rivalry. That's really how that really goes. Why? Because there is no threat to any convention or anything on Community Stars. In fact, it includes everything with it. So the conflict of interest is telling what the person, what they're trying to figure out why it's not benefiting them. That ain't the point. The point is you want people to go to you. So you need to figure out that piece of it, right? Because that is what you have to do. So I am a member like of any agency. I'm a member of this agency and this and that. If I'm doing something and the goal is to bring them to that agency, it doesn't make sense to be sitting there saying that there is a conflict of interest if the interest is actually bringing the person there. It just doesn't make any sense, does it? Does it? Maybe I'm wrong. So if it's a conflict of interest, it's probably a professional excuse, what I've already mentioned before. And they're just using that as a way to dictate or to intimidate you into how you're doing your business practices. And they could even go as far as, well, then maybe you had to revoke the membership. And then I would have to be like, well, whatever, you know? At that point, there's really not much that I could do about a situation because of these made up conflicts of interest that have nothing to do with the way that other people are doing business. But Community Stars is patented, and it's patented because it's a new innovation. It's a new creation of how education is being developed for performing and fine artists. And you get to learn within a year. It is tuition based, and it revolves around showcasing and conventions. It gives you a lot of exposure and a lot of networking. So this helps the college student decide whether or not, now this is probably where the only conflict of interest there is, but it's one of those that I don't think it's going to matter too much because there's only so much that SLMTA could do versus what a university could do anyway. But it helps a college student decide what they want to do so that they can make their dream a reality. And then as a backup plan, they can maybe study business, nursing, or something to that sort. So that's basically where I'm getting at. That is the patent to Community Stars. Now, the reason that it's going to take a minute for that to even be approved is because I'd have to prove that it actually works. Okay, which is why we would have our first graduating class. Now, with that being said, I have a backup plan. Everything comes up with a backup plan, and you know me, that's just how it goes, okay? Um, the how do I want to say this? Okay. So let's say, for an example, right, that I'm expecting to do a convention and maybe something had happened and things got a little twisty. We're just going to use it as an example, right? Then as a backup plan, SLMTA has it where we would have to readopt, because see, we have another patent that we're doing. I made that mistake. That was the first $350 I'll never do again. Okay. when we did the Artist Gala trademark, Artist Gala was not supposed to be a trademark. It was actually a patent. Why? Because it was a new service. It is a new service related type of programming that is not out there yet. And the reason that we basically put hardly anything out there, but I have everything in a separate box, so to speak, is for the backup plan. It's literally for the fact, and we do want to get it patent, but the idea is that we don't want to be having any kind of, what do we want to call them, circular issues. So right now, what we're trying to do is figure out why it is that some folks or some businesses, just some, mainly probably conventions or whatnot, why they would deem Artist Gala actually a conflict of interest. And then once I have that situation figured out, then I'm going to take it out of the actual box and be like, okay, this is it. Why? Because if the conflict of interest has nothing to do with anything but just an interest on one part, and it's not really focused on collaboration or anything, then it's either A, the afraid that could be a rivalry that could compete badly with something else, or B, just an intimidating factor, because that's what some folks will do. I'm not saying all, but some few here and there will use that as an intimidation tactic. So you would have to know, excuse me, I went down the wrong pipe. You would have to know the difference of how you're working out those details. It's really not so much, and the thing is, Artist Gala, I'll give you a little bit of a hint about Artist Gala. Artist Gala is world renowned, #1. So it's going to have, it's built of many contests into one. And you are basically revolving the Artist Gala around performance readiness, meaning it's not a convention type ordeal. It's something that agencies would actually send their models to. It's the other way around. Okay, it's like a premiere type of thing. So when we do these, it's open showcases, it's open beauty shots, it's open runway. These type of things. It's almost similar to like a fashion week, if you're going to put that in with modeling, okay, on a perspective of modeling. But there are certain cities that still yet do not have those, like fashion weeks in them. So what you do is you're becoming that brand. So if it is a new brand, if it's not out there, which my situation is not, I'm not telling you anything more. If you notice, I've told you a lot of what seems to already be out there to give you a hint of where we're actually tackling the issue. Okay. Now, can it be expensive to attend an Artist Gala? Oh, yeah. It's pretty much the same price if you were to go to, it's pretty much the same price as you would go to like New York Fashion Week if you're going to participate. It's about $5,900, literally. It is a for-profit, but there is a nonprofit sector in that. I'm not going to tell you that part yet. It's more of a trust type ordeal, and is divided into two series between scholarships relating to university students and colleges, as well as other types of business innovative grants. And then of course there is the agency participation in it, meaning that in order to use our logos and things like that, it's about $1,500. They get their full disclosures and everything, and what they need to prepare for these for the models. But we're not talking about actual dreamers here or that, or wannabe pros that are just taking sexy photos every, say, 3 or 4 months. We're actually talking about experience. This is more like a live red carpet type event. Very formal. And yeah, so that's as far as I basically want to tell you about Artist Gala. But in that, there are quarterly contests and things like that. So we've already prepared the whole entire way of what Artist Gala would look like. And eventually it's going to develop into its own building. That's what we actually want to do. Now, the union will be an offset 501c6, which would be the American National Guild of Performing Artists. That will be in with the trust, which is a 501c3, okay, relating to our different fundraisers and stuff like that build that out. But that's what we would be doing. So, but that the concept of Artist Gala is way more than just an actual trademark. It's an actual patent. It's a thing that does not exist. Even though that I'm sharing everything that does exist today with you, so you will be interested to know what the backup plan actually is. I'll give you a very huge hint. One thing about me, and it isn't just me, there's also those that are 10 years younger than me. All right. But I'm just going to put me in there because this is who I am. There are a lot of 60, 70, 80-year-olds, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Like y'all doing your thing, you know, it's all good, right? But the thing is that I don't know how to say this. I'm just going to say it straightforward and in the most honest way. So it's going to be the most direct way that I could put this. Please forgive me now if I hurt anyone. No, I'm kidding. No. There are some things that you really, if you're wanting young blood to literally actually help make things happen, then you're going to have to be open to those things to happen. And that's as strong and direct as I'm going to be able to put it. If you're not open to it, if you're just saying it because you're looking at the now and you're saying, well, you know, this is how we're going to finagle this scenario, it's not going to work, because what you're doing is you're just trying to intimidate that young person into doing your agenda, when in reality, what you want to do is make changes, right? So what you're going to have to do is entrust the youth to actually make those changes if you want to make those changes. Otherwise, what I see is a dying business. I hate to say it that way, and that is the truth. Because without you, and there ain't nothing else, there's no backup plan to supersede any of that, then it basically, your business is dead. So you need to figure out the guidelines behind everything about what you're going to be doing to make that business be alive. So yeah, that is the sad part about, being at retirement age and actually starting these businesses. And when I say starting them, that's literally what I'm saying. I'm hearing that things have been around for so many years, but when I go to opencorporates.com or I go to the state registry, it shows 13 years of existence. So I have to go by what I'm seeing the truth as, and that's coming right out of the horse's mouth, and that is right from the state registration. Now, if it was fictitious names before it became a thing, well, I don't know what to tell you, because that might be an IRS issue, especially if they come to audit and find out, like if you're trying to do a nonprofit and then you were using a fictitious name but never incorporated. So it would be hard for me to believe that. I would have to actually believe that that the truth is that it was only open for 13 years. So this is why I'm telling you that you have to be honest. Now, 13 years isn't bad. Okay. I mean, for me, I've only been around for 2 years, but what's actually very good about SLMTA is that we are growing more faster than any entertainment industry leader out there. I'm not even kidding. Now, I'm not talking about the fact that you might have 50 people on your roster. I'm talking about, and that's just a roster thing, okay? I'm talking about that it took me 2 years, never had a canceled LLC, never had the IRS coming running and yelling and hollering and carrying on with me, never failed to make payments of any sort. Okay, I got a very good business credit profile, way better than my personal one. Hint, hint. Boy, I put a lot of stress into this business. I really did. Some people say, "Oh, I made a mistake. This business should have came second." I said, "No." I said, if it came second, there would be no way I would be where I'm at today. And we are everywhere today. SLMTA, the only reason that, I mean, I can't even say that. Can I say that? I don't even think I can say that anymore. It's not just a Michigan thing anymore. I mean, it's crazy. It's an awesome thing. I really, really, really do appreciate it. So that's what we're trying to do. Like we're trying to, we are growing by leaps and bounds. We got random people from every which way. As soon as a person says, "Oh, Samuel Lombardo, oh, you're that guy that I saw on, yeah." Like people, you'd be surprised. Not everybody will subscribe to my YouTube channel like they should. SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, the gold icon with the red ring around it. Yeah, that one. there you can see me live. I'm doing my live interactive shows. Now, these are going to be changing in format soon. So there'll be more set up like podcasts and more interactive. We're just needing more people to actually subscribe, and I need to actually have time where I'm not sitting here past midnight to discuss with you guys the things that I could be doing during prime time, because that's where I really need to be at. And so that's what is happening right now in regards to that. Let's see what our subscription is. We have been having subscribers constantly, and when I say constantly, like even with YouTube. Now I can't say it's only been a week. It's been at least 2 weeks now. Some folks probably have grown a little bit faster than others, I would presume. But in any case, we, as far as a company that's just starting out and you know, even clients are starting to run to us. Like there is this thing where they really are interested in working with us. Now the thing is that we care about our roster. We care about our roster, but we also care about the client. So we try to go and work midway. Okay. But our roster is very important. This is the part. Now, it doesn't matter, like, even if they are freelancing to the client, right? There are certain things that you have to have in place. I mean, shoot, I even have it, like general liability insurance, you know, making sure that this and that and the other thing. You want to make sure that those things are done correctly for your company, and that really whatever happens while they are on set, while they are there, period, because I don't know what's happening in between. So the artist knows that the first person they are going to be questioning would end up going back to the client. Like, for example, if the client, you know, it's, see, that's why it's there's pros and cons. The main con that most clients have, especially when it comes to working with known agencies or whatnot, is just how expensive it could get. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no way of actually that we can't negotiate the booking. It's just the truth of the matter is it can get expensive. Okay. So they don't, if they don't want to commit during that time, that is understandable, but that doesn't get you out of the fact that there are things still in place that the client must adhere to. Now, that would actually be whatever the law is related to the type of business you are doing, which would mean that we would need copies of whatever situation you may have. Now, if you don't have an agreement and I don't have an agreement, then someone has to have an agreement. So that's why we always do the terms and conditions, and it is always the highest of the scenario because it's the terms and conditions of the agency. So what happens after that when you are negotiating is you figure out, you let us know what you already have in place, and then we would tell you, okay, we need to see that. This is how you develop a client relationship, really. You have to be upfront and honest in the very, very beginning with any client. There are some agencies out there where they'll be very desperate and they'll just say, well, just let us know what you need and we'll go ahead and we'll get it or whatever. Now, I like certain projects and things like that, so that does work for me at times. But also, if I'm seeing where, I'm going to give you an example. If I'm seeing where something like a newspaper company is looking for a model, and I ask them for a budget report on it as to what they are planning to pay for certain scenarios, it's because we're trying to figure out if the right cut is going to be good for the experience of those people, or where is the actual money going to? Because most places would rather tell you, well, we don't have no money, and then let's make it as simple as that. No, if you're going to try to tell me you don't have any money, then we're going to need to see that proof. We're going to have to see layman proof. And that would even include the fact that we may have to call in an audit. Why? Because we need to know, where's the money coming from then? If you don't have the money, where's the money coming from? Because somebody's going to have to get paid. You know what I mean? That's just the way how that goes. I don't know any other way that would go. So, yeah, I mean, if you legitimately don't have money, but then you're trying to figure out how you're going to do certain things, then that's a different story to an extent, but that's not necessarily like part of my topic tonight. Anyway, I went on a tangent, and I don't know even where where that even happened, but it is true. One of the things that SLMTA does require during a booking process is actually making sure that there are budget sheets. We make sure that we understand what is happening, and then we also have to make sure that everything is legal. Like, do they have the insurances that they need to cover in case things happen? Because some people that don't have the experience in the industry assume that if they're coming from an agency, that the agency is responsible for that model or audits. Now, let me tell you a huge FYI. This is what came to me from Astrat. And it's also happened with an American supermodel that I know as well. It brought to my attention. That's why they bond themselves. So if you want to protect yourself, artists and or models, you can bond yourself as well for any legal reasons, but you would have to not only add us, but you'd have to be sure that the client that you're booked during a specified time period knows about it as well, and things like that. But typically, no, an agency does not pay for insurances for other people's businesses' problems. And usually what happens is it happens from the whatever they're on set, after they're offset, like after they're off of that plane and whatever, then then they're done with the responsibility as far as that is concerned. Um, hmm. There are many different things that are happening, but the one thing, like I said, so we make sure that our roster is safe. We make sure that our models and artists are safe as well, and things like that. So those are things that are very, very necessary. Um, it is now 12:50 a.m. on the East Coast. Yes, on the East Coast. I can't believe how long of a day it's been. And by the way, I'm also even working on scripts because I on my downtime, or if I'm just flat out too bored and don't really care about nothing, which is what it's been like for 2 days anyway, I will get into my creative capacity and start writing scripts, which I do both movie as well as um, theoretical. So it's interesting. And the one thing that I'm still working on to this day is Nightmares in Society, which has been something for a long time that I've been writing. Let me see. Well, there ain't no other questions, and it looks like YouTube is being quiet tonight. I'm pretty sure once I drop this video, boom, 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 I'm gonna be hearing it going off all night tonight. But you know what? Subscribe to our YouTube channel because big things are happening. We're gonna be doing some interview. We're gonna be doing some live concerts, like I said. This isn't made up. I'm telling you what we're gonna be doing. It's just that it takes time. And so we're going to be doing a lot of that. The other thing that I want you to pay attention to, especially Facebook, in case if this does happen again, is that we are not stealing anybody's music in our backgrounds. We have actual sync licenses from Munster Cat, and we also have a full catalog that we paid for through Epidemic Sound, and that is the music that we've been playing. So I don't know where all these other companies are saying whatever. So I'm just laying that out there so that is very clear, because that is very personal to me. I don't like when someone is trying to silence my lives for something that I'm spending $49 a month. If you multiply that out for 12 months, that's over the amount than what Sound Exchange even charges for a year to do what I'm doing. And even if I had it, still they would probably be knocking me off, because the problem is there's an algorithm that only spots the music, and it goes with the artist, and it feeds back to like these other record labels. So what happens is if it spots a specific piece and it goes past the copyright law amount of time to being able to hear it, it spots it, tracks it out, and then it detracts a message from UMG, Sony, and all these other folks out of Facebook. And Facebook is the only one I'm having this issue with. So I'm gonna send a message and find out if there's any other way I could do this. If not, then when we do these live things that I was doing before, Facebook is not going to be able to be involved with it. It's just going to have to be everything else but Facebook. So that's why I'm telling you guys that you want to subscribe to SLMTA, SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, on the YouTube channel, because there's a lot that I can do. Like YouTube knows that I actually have that license. We always credit the license even within the video. And then there's times where we don't even have to do it. Like tonight, we didn't have to do it, but when we did our opening scene or whatever, it was all YouTube content. So it didn't matter. They already had the license. But there are situations where I'm not sure what's going on. It's a Facebook issue, and there's only two things I could think of. It's either somebody's trying to report the copyright, or somebody's actually, or it's a Facebook automatic algorithm that is doing it. So I just wanted to let you know that's what happened with that video the other day, because I was actually going to play live music straight from Epidemic Sound, and literally, and for 6 hours with the video that I have, that I actually had permission to use as well, to be able to, so that you can pop on and just relax and watch it and meditate or whatever. That's all that really basically was anyway. But I've also ran into another problem too, which I finally got that fixed. And that was this thing with my virtual audio plug, where it was saying something like, what was it saying? It was saying something like trial. And I think between that saying trial and me blowing up a live moving looped video with Epidemic Sound playing a catalog of pop songs or soft rock or soft classical, between all that, I think it had spawned a scenario. I'm gonna test something real quick because I am curious to see. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. One, two, 1, 2. All right, let's try this way. One, two. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, let's try this way. One, two, 1, 2. Okay, what I'm doing now, I'm trying to figure out, because I just plugged in 1, 2. Okay, what I'm doing now, I'm trying to figure out, because I just plugged in 1, 2. Isn't that odd? I'm trying to figure out, because I just Yeah, I just plugged in the actual soundboard. But I feel like we're echoing. Yeah, I just and I'm trying to figure out how I could be able to utilize it so that I'm not silencing myself on lives, but that I could have background music. Yeah, I just and I'm trying to figure out how I could be able to utilize it so that I'm not silencing myself on lives, but I could have background music. Yeah, I just okay. Boy, I knew I messed that one up. You gotta love that. Now I'm stuck on the echo. Boy, I knew I messed that one up. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm laughing at myself because this is like really weird. Like I'm oh, one, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I think I found how I could fix that problem. No, it's still repeating. 1, 2, 3. I think I found how I can fix that problem. No, it's still repeating. I think I found how I can fix that problem. No, it's still repeating. I think I found how I can fix that problem. Oh, well, anyway, you all have a very blessed night. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comment section down below. I'll be glad to answer them in the next video. Have a blessed evening. Oh, well, anyway, you all have a very blessed night. If you have